welcome everybody to Wednesday's Product Spotlight. Almost had myself fooled there for a moment. That's right. We are at Wednesday. That's right. We are halfway through the week. How do you manage modular construction from start to finish? Beginning with design management as well as manufacturing oversight, site coordination, setting the modules, all the way through construction project closeout management? Well, today we are hosting our good friend Al Edwin, Chief Executive Officer of modBLT. We're talking about the modular construction process from design constructability, review to on-site assembly of the modules and finish work. All this and more. But first, we got to have a word for our sponsors. So check this out. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory? Optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. All right. Thanks again. We cannot do all of these innovative conversations without our sponsors. So please make sure you go and say hello to them. Check them out. Learn what they have to offer for all of you out there. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on Al. Al, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Dave. What a high energy introduction.
Well, you know what? I love what I do. I know you love what you do. So this is going to be a lot of fun because I do think you are the first person that I have met in the industry that is doing everything from helping design, plan, and coordinate to design, plan, coordinate, build, and turn over the keys to the end user on large-scale projects across the United States. So super excited to have you on. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be here. So I'll just jump in and give you a little background. I've been building multifamily for over 50 years. I hate to admit that. But during my tenure in building apartments and other residential structures, hospitality, I dabbled in modular over the years, as long ago as 20 years ago. And as recently as 10 years ago, I was building bamboo resort structures in Vietnam and erecting them in tropical places like Hawaii. So that's kind of my background. During about 5 years ago, we started really researching the industry with a prior group that I was with. And we've been all over the world to Europe, Sweden, Southeast Asia, the Pacific Northwest in the U.S., the East Coast, the South. And we've been to a lot of factories, and the different manufacturers have showed off their products. We've been to the sites. We've met with the developers. And the one thread that we really see throughout the industry is there really needs to be what I would call a catalyst, something that ties the process together from beginning to end. What we see is architects design projects for developers. They think they might want to go modular. They show their plans to manufacturers. Every manufacturer has a different way of approaching the same project. Their manufacturing processes are different. They use different materials, whether it be steel or wood. They come from different parts of the world. They specialize in different types of projects. So we found that there really seems to be a niche for us. And we know there's a lot of smart people in the industry, and we've seen a lot of people do a lot of great things. But what we're not really seeing is somebody where the developer comes to us or the manufacturer comes to us and says, hey, we want to do this project. How do you put all the pieces together? We see a lot of developers going out to the factories and trying to meet with contractors and trying to coordinate those two things. So we really feel that it's super important to have somebody that takes the process from soup to nuts. There's other people that do this. There's some people are very good at it. We try to be the best in the industry. We've recently been out engaging really great talent, guys that literally grew up on the factory floor or grew up in a household of mod setters. So we're amassing that talent and trying to bring that to the industry.
Yeah, sure. So listen, why don't we kick off the show? We got a little bit of an intro video. Let's set it up and then let's get into, where you're working, who your customers are, and exactly what you do from start to finish and the different levels. But first, let's show this intro video. What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead. This is a small project in West LA where 4 modules make a unit. There's 4 units in this project. It's a very high-end project. We did this with plant prefab. Really enjoyed the relationship. Super challenging, tight site, as most modular sites are. That's our crew there, our hand-picked guys that we trained from day one. Some people are born into this industry, others are recruited in, and we spend a lot of time on training and really try to bring the best talent to the customer.
Where was this project at, Al?
So this is in West LA, West Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago was this job with Plant Prefab?
This was in last November of 22.
November of 22. Yeah. So let's get into it. Like in Plant Prefabs is a great place to start. Steve Glenn was in that company for a lot of years at the helm. And how did you do this project? Who was the customer? Where did you start? Did you always start off? Were you just the set crew? Were you the GC? Were you the design partner? Were you the intermediary between everybody? Walk us through all the different facets of how you can help people.
So, yeah, embarrassingly, you're catching me off guard with the Knicks. I'll have to come up with their last name. 2 great guys that are developing in West LA came to us, and it's a great question because it really fits our model where we sat in on we help with all the design meetings. We help with coordinating the architect with the manufacturer. We were invited to be the GC. We submitted a GC bid, and we also cultivated other GC competing bids. And we really want to find the best fit, best contractor for every project. And we know sometimes it's not us. In this case, we have a very low risk profile when we GC, and the customer wanted a fixed price contract. So we worked with them with their selected GC. We coached the GC. We worked a lot with Plant Prefab. There was a lot of interaction. So we managed the full design process through all the sub-consultants, MEP, structural. We spent a lot of time visiting the factory and visiting the site to prep for the set. On this project, that is our set crew that you saw in the video. So we had a very successful set, and then we stay in touch with the GC to help them ensure that the project is finished out. Sometimes the GC and the client, the developer, engage us for the full oversight of the full project to the end. In this case, we provided some assistance after setting, but the developer pretty much finished it himself. But pretty typical project for us.
So let me follow up and just to clarify, is modBLT, and one, I want to get into what that exactly stands for. Are you a consultant? Are you a contractor? Are you a modular set crew? Are you a general contractor? Are you a design and engineering firm? Help me.
Almost all the above. So We pronounce it modBLT. Modular Building Logistics and Technology is what the acronym stands for. It's modBLT. We have a sister company called ModSet, and a little heads up, in the future, due to licensing requirements, we're going to see ModSet become the bigger of the two entities and really the operating entity, with modBLT being a parent company. To answer your question, we don't actually perform design services ourselves, though we do have some very sharp engineers on our staff that are capable, and we do a lot of design charrettes for different details, whether it be an MEP connection or a structural connection. But we generally start with trying to help the developer and the client make sure that he's optimizing the site. And that's what we need to start early in the process. If you want to put that crane layout on the screen, we can talk about that a little bit. We're currently engaged with a company called Thrive, who is very aggressively active in LA. And we've done 2 projects with Ben and his team, Drew Westling. We're currently on our 3rd project with them, the 1457 Main Street project, 376 units in the Chinatown neighborhood. It's 6 stories over a podium, over 1 level of below grade. And while Dave brings up that graphic, I'll let you know that we looked at this site completely surrounded by high tension power lines. On the bottom of the page here and on the right hand side of the page, there's power lines. On the other 2 property lines, we have 0 lot line buildings right immediately at the property. So there would be no way to use a crane to set modules on this project without entering the project. So we actually designed those 2 crane locations, which are on top of a podium. At both of those locations, you see a tan area that says modular pick zone. Those cranes, I forget exactly what they weigh, but we're putting that on top of a podium deck over 1 level of parking. And the crane on the right needs to enter under a podium deck, 18-foot high podium deck. It takes 15 semi-trucks of counterweights to build this crane. The crane builds itself in that space, super tight space. And then these, out of 376 units, about 340 of them are fed into this podium, either from Main Street at the bottom of this area or from Satella Street on the right. So we designed the crane locations first and designed the project around it. This is Architects Orange Design. We've worked with them from day one. We were involved with the developer, Ben Shaul, since he started the purchase of this project over 3 years ago. And we've worked side by side with Ben's team through the design of the project, everything from the shoring, tieback agreements, through modular design. We're partnering with VBC on this project to build the project as a modular project. And we expect ModSet to be the setting team. We are the construction manager on this project. So we have a full team on site, really sharp guys that we're very fortunate to pick off of really good companies, guys with great experience and great training and lots of modular under their belt to help us with this project. So I think it's a great project to showcase what we do.
Yeah. And is this an elevation rendering of that same project? Should I put that on screen?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Why don't we share that as well so people can see it?
So very simple but elegant exterior. You don't really see, as with any well-designed modular project, you don't really see this as being built as modular. We spent a lot of time consulting on issues on this building that are not specifically modular, like the exterior finishes, how the details go together, the waterproofing systems, podium deck design. We're currently working on roof deck design. And we've done a lot of these, so we know what works and we've seen what doesn't work. We certainly have had our ups and downs in terms of projects that have challenges. We all have that, and we try to learn from that. And we try to set up tours of past projects to develop lessons learned and help our clients avoid those lessons.
Yeah, for sure. So where did this passion come from? I know you traveled the world. There's been a lot of research on it, but who comes home and says, well, listen, we need to do everything soup to nuts. Like, you didn't just start in one area. You kind of built, maybe you did, but you had a bigger vision on how this could run the gamut from the design all the way through the delivery. Walk us through the process. How did you begin? What was your first project? And then talk to us a little bit about your growth right now.
So I spent, since I was 17 years old, spent my career working on multifamily stick frame projects. And as a project manager or a VP or president of construction of multifamily stick frame, you have really one individual that takes responsibility for the project from the beginning to end. But we don't really see that in modular projects. And as an employee of Universal Standard Housing, when we started building first 111 unit project on Crenshaw in LA, and then an 80 unit project on Alvarado in LA, we started discovering that somebody's got to shepherd the project step by step from the first design concept is like, hey, is this site going to work for modular? Are we going to be able to set it? What are the constraints? And then all the way through the manufacturing process. Manufacturers love us because, if you're a car salesman and you spend all day with people that kick tires and don't necessarily buy cars, I think manufacturers look at us as like, hey, could you guys get in the weeds with this client? Could you solve the problems and bring us a real project that's ready to build? So we really like to support everybody in the industry, but we definitely feel needs to be a continuity. And as I said earlier, other people understand this. There's the modular industry and the demand for housing, the demand for modular is exploding so rapidly. We have so many new developers come to us that they're experienced stick frame developers, but they're new to modular. And the ones that we really like are the ones that ask the same questions that you're asking. It's like, how do we do this? How does it work? And we love to jump in early on these projects and really help through every step. Otherwise, some people feel like, hey, it's pretty easy. You're just buying a Lego set and you're putting the Legos together. They go to the factory on their own, and we find that maybe the factories, has their own design methodology. Maybe that's not tied together with the architect. Is the MEP coordinated? How much of the MEP are you doing in the factory, and how much are you doing in the site?
I got to stop you right there and ask this question, right? Because to me, it's the elephant in the room. When you work with clients, and it sounds to me, and we're going to talk about who those clients are, but you're working with clients with different manufacturers in different parts of the country. Is that correct?
That is true.
And how in the world do you manage working on these big projects with different manufacturers that all speak their own languages? It doesn't seem like there's any uniformity throughout the industry other than shipping requirements, right? And wide load and heights and things like that. It sounds to me like that's just got to be an overwhelming task to manage. How do you manage that?
Well, one thing is just having great relationships with manufacturers. We love to meet new manufacturers. We accept every invitation to visit factories. We've visited factories all over the country, in Canada, and as I said, overseas. We work with the absolute leaders in the industry, the people that are actually engineering and designing and building the new factories. And there's a great network. It's not a really large community. There's a great network of people. And what we find that really helps our client is that we know the personalities of those factories. We know what their capabilities are, where they specialize, what are the shipping distances? Do they like big projects or small projects? Are they steel or wood? And we work with those factories to develop things that we think are important. We've innovated several things in the industry, including we always like to put our cast iron plumbing in the factory. No point in carrying 10-foot sticks of cast iron up 6 stories. So a lot of factories are resistant to that because it's just so much easier to avoid it. But we look at, the client still has to finish a building after the modules are set. We're trying to reduce as much of that work as possible so that there is a true advantage to the schedule per module.
So is your client then the developer, the architect, the investor? Tell us who your typical client is, and then we'll get into the process.
Well, our clients fall into 2 or 3 categories. Mostly they're directly with the developer who is usually either the investor or he brings the investors to the table. We also work directly with manufacturers. We have some great relationships with Factory OS, VBC, Plant Prefab, and there's several others. There's too many to mention, but we work with some of the overseas manufacturers, and they really like that we come to their factories. We sit down with their design team. We talk about the things we'd like to see and that our client needs to see. We talk about the challenges. We actually get calls from some of the factory engineering staff. It's like, hey, we're looking at a different way to do corridors. Could you take a look at this? And we go to their sites and see how things are going on. And I think that's really the key to our company, is that before the project, during the project, regardless of who the client is, we'll go to the factory, we'll go to the site. If we're manufacturing something that's not part of the modular factory, we'll go meet with that manufacturer, whether we're building offsite balconies or bathroom pods. So we like to go directly to the source and really learn what's out there and how can we help our clients with those products.
So here I am a developer, I'm hiring an architect, and I hear about this fabulous world of offsite, modular, industrialized, volumetric construction, whatever we're going to call it. And I reach out to Al and I say, you know what, Al, I got this big building and I want to build it modular. You're going to tell me what?
Well, the first thing is send us a site plan. We'll check it out. That's really a test, because if we get a full set of plans, then it's usually hey, we're sorry, but you're either going to have to chuck these plans and let us help you from the beginning. But we get a lot of raw site plans. We get a lot of title company plot plans, and we're like, great, this is the raw material we want. And we can immediately look at how high is it, how many units is it, and that immediately mentally for us narrows down, here's who you're going to want to go to as a manufacturer. And very early in the process, we like to get 2 or 3 manufacturers on board to have competitive pricing, so our clients know they're getting the best deal. But we also don't waste a lot of people's time going out and kicking tires on factories that maybe wouldn't be a fit.
Sure. All right. So now you have the site plan, you have the rough layout of the building. Has it been designed modular yet?
In the best case scenario, no, it's not. Sometimes there's a design charrette. We work a lot with Architects Orange, and there's some other great architects that we work with that I think Architects Orange is on many of our projects, and they have some super talented people that really know how to make modular units fit. There's always the corner condition on the corridor that's a challenge. A lot of factories rate design by efficiency. How efficient is it? If you have 20 or 30 different unit designs, it's not efficient for a factory. If you have 3 unit designs, it's a great modular candidate. So we work with the architect, and The developers always want to cut costs, and manufacturing of any product in the world is all about repetition. The more repetition you have, the less variable units you have, the faster and smoother your project's going to go.
Got it. So when you start with the client, typically it's more on a consulting basis to help them understand how to take their project modular, and you coordinate those meetings between the factory and the architect or developer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we that phase takes us right to the altar where the client has a ready to issue permit set of plans, and
Yeah.
we've been talking to factories. We're ready to pull the trigger and select a factory, and we want to start manufacturing, pull the building permit, and start site work all on the same day.
Yep. Pull the permit, start site work all in the same day. That's a magic trick all by itself. How do you know when you're going to get that permit?
Well, we've got some great partners in the
Yeah.
industry that help us, especially in the city of LA. But a lot of times, and that's really one of the biggest problems in the industry, is timing is so important. For manufacturers, they've got a calendar, and we're always looking to buy a slot in somebody's production calendar. And then when we have the slot, then got to hang on to that slot for dear life. And the manufacturer's slot will move, the contractor's timing will move, the permit timing will move, and it really becomes a balancing act.
Yeah, ballet of coordination is what I always say, right? You're always walking both sides of the weeble wobble board, as I say, trying to make it all come together. All right, perfect. So now the project's underway. We have permits. Manufacturing is going to begin at the same time the site work's beginning, right? This is the value of offsite modular construction. They're building these units in whatever factory that the client agreed to use at the price they agreed to use it. Who has oversight over how it's being built in the factory, and who has oversight on how the podium, the grade beams, or whatever on site's being put in? Who has the oversight to make sure those two things are being done exactly as planned?
So when we're retained long, and I mentioned coming to the altar at the day of RTI, and when the permit's ready to issue, that's when the developer's going to decide, who's going to be their contractor. If it's going to be mod set, then obviously we're under contract to build. We put our team on site. We participate in many projects where it's a better fit to have a local contractor, depending on where the project is, and we help as a support team for the contractor in the factory. But to answer your question about who manages the factory, we know that every factory has their proprietary methods of how they do hold downs, how they do mechanical, electrical, plumbing, how they frame their roofs. We know that going in, and that's part of the selection process. So we're not there to try to reinvent the factory. We're there to take the strengths of the factory, and by the time we have a permit, we've already built that into the plans, and we've already coordinated that. So we know what to expect coming out of that factory, and we know how the set is supposed to go, and we can really work with the contractor or our own team if we're the site crew. We really focus on, and modular is all about education. For a lot of people will say, yeah, we've been building modular for 20 years, but if you say, well, which projects, many people that answer that question will say, well, none of those actually really got built. So we work with a lot of first-time contractors and first-time subcontractors. And so not just the contractors, but the inspectors, the suppliers, the truck drivers. There's a lot of education required there. When we started building these projects in LA, we met with the director of building. We had seminars with all the building inspectors. We brought them to the site. And you need to do that in any city so that you're not caught where inspectors are saying, hey, we didn't see this, we didn't see that. We lay it all out for them. And we feel like that's necessary with anybody that's involved with the project.
So you'll set the project, then there can be a handoff to a general contractor, or you can then also be the general contractor to take the job to completion, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yep. And when you work in all of these different cities, my guess is you have some pretty skilled project managers that go to these jobs and work them all the way through.
That's true. We have a lot of strength of personnel in LA. We've got a great team. I'm really proud of our team in LA. We have projects in Vermont and in Denver, and those are locations where we're not going to say we have a strong team there. We're going to help the developer in those markets find the strongest team. We have great connections in those markets, and that's why we don't claim to want to be the contractor on every project. We have a very steep growth curve, but we don't want to grow so fast that we're out of control. So we actually have sought out several contractors in different markets where we take contractors that they see the modular wave coming their way and they want to be a part of it. And we love to team up with those guys and help them with the nuances in the design, get them out to the factory and walk them through the product, and then work with them when it comes on site.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way. And when we wrap up this show, Al, I'm just setting you up now. I'm going to ask you about lessons learned. You know, the hard knocks that other people should be paying attention to, just from your experiences as we keep moving this industry forward. What would you say to anybody out there interested in building a modular multifamily project that has not crossed over into our world yet, that is considering it? What do you tell them? And what would you tell them that your clients would tell them after they've done it?
Well, the first questions that new developers ask us is it going to be cheaper and is it going to be quicker? And I give them this cocktail napkin task where I suggest to the developer, take your project and cut the delivery time from groundbreaking to move in, cut that in half, and run all of your running costs, your general conditions, your financing costs, run all those costs on half of the schedule. Forget about material and labor costs for this exercise. And if you can't on paper show a tremendous advantage by putting heads in beds in 50% of the time, if you can't show that in that quick napkin sketch, then modular is probably not for you. But most developers will look at that advantage and say, yeah, that's truly an advantage, but can I save money on labor and materials? And that's where we get into, on the larger projects, buying in bulk, getting the buying power. If we're working with 2 or 3 manufacturers on 1,000 units at a time, can we get the developer a better deal with that manufacturer? Probably. Can we help the design to steer towards unit layouts that are using standardized, like cabinet layouts, standardized disabled access design, and other things that are repetitive? Again, manufacturing is all about repetition. So can we save money on labor and materials with those strategies? Yes, we can. That's a little bit of a tougher sell. And then I think you asked the question, what would our clients say at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And we've got one client where we're on a third project with them. So obviously, and we have two more projects, would be a total of 5 projects in the future. Really big 808 unit project over a major big box retail, 5-acre site. I think that speaks for itself in terms of how did we do on our first 2 projects. Do we encounter problems, and are there hiccups? Are there issues that we struggle with? Are there issues that we thought we'd learned and then we're relearning them? I think that happens to all of us. It's certainly kind of the Wild West out there some days. Just one issue alone is just trucking is such a challenge, and we end up trucking distances 400 miles, 700 miles, 1,000 miles. there's just so much that can go wrong just in that one part of the modular industry. And big thanks to our trucking partners that recommended us for this show and that work with us every day. But that's a tough business.
Well, I hope it's Stream Logistics, because they are the best out there. And yes, they do support Dave Cooper Live, but seriously, they're awesome.
Yeah, we love working with those guys, and we got a couple other great partners that it really takes a village sometimes.
Yeah. And that's it, but they also bring the technology and the know-how and the drones and the setup operations. They do some really cool stuff that typical transportation companies do not do in our industry. And I think that's super cool. So shout out to them. And you're right, they did introduce us. So thank you, Carson Holmquist. Appreciate that. All right. Let's talk about lessons learned, Al. You and I have been in this industry a long time. I know there are some moments where you probably got your beep handed to you. What are some lessons learned? Because you had to get your 10,000 hours somewhere.
Yeah. So I think on the design side, we've had a couple of challenges, but one of the issues on the design side is just trying to push factories to do things that they're uncomfortable with, and sometimes have to be really sensitive to that. And we have a lot of innovation in mind that we have to sort of slow play in order to not bring too much change, too many changes too quickly. Weather's always an interesting one. When you have 130 modules that are, some are at the yard in the factory, some are on the road, some are in the staging yard, some are in another staging yard, some are on the site, and some have been set. And then you get the 100-year Hillary tropical storm. That's always a struggle. We've solved wet projects before. We've remediated projects that got drenched, and we've been the contractor or the consultant that fixed those projects. And then I think on this last storm, middle of summer, 4 inches of rain, we had a little bit of damage. I think we're counting our lucky stars that, and I guess it shows improvement. Instead of losing 96 units to a storm, as what happened on one project that we remediated a year ago, losing four units or 12 units to a storm is an improvement. Certainly not the best day of the year.
No, it's not. But isn't it just the way of the world? I said it before the show, like when we do a live show, if it can go wrong, it will. That's construction all the way around. You can never predict Mother Nature and what Mother Nature is going to do.
I would just say to our clients that it's a great learning experience, and there is technology out there where we can 100% prevent that. We just got to get on it.
Well, that's right. The industry needs to catch up with the rest of the world on a lot of technology and a lot of ways of thinking. So, Al, last question for me, and then we're going to go say hello to a couple people in the audience and wrap this up. But, where do you see people? What's the biggest fail for people trying to do this? You look at a developer, an investor that has a project. What do you see as the biggest fail that can give us the black eye in this industry because they missed that one step?
Well, I think it's what we've been saying throughout this conversation, Dave, and it's just having that one individual that follows every step and understands every step and can visualize every connection from day one of concept design through the turnover and occupancy of the building. When you go through these phases of design and then manufacturing and then site work and then closeout, if those phases are managed by different individuals, you're going to miss something in the continuity. So that's really the message that I have for your audience, and that's really where I feel that ModSet and modBLT excel. Yeah,
for sure. Right. You got to pre-plan, pay attention to the details, and coordinate early. So
if you build enough of these you see enough mistakes, then you know that mistake is coming, and you find the right professional to put on it to make sure that mistake doesn't happen.
And that's it. We're not perfect in this industry as well, but when you have industry knowledge and you have experience and you cut your teeth on the lessons learned, you can identify and resolve issues before they get too blown out of control. And that's a win for everybody. It's construction. I wish it was a perfect process. One day we're getting there, Al. One day it'll be perfect. All right, quick couple hellos. Cooper Lane, Brave Control Solutions. What's happening, Cooper? I love that you have my first name. My last name is your first name. I think that's super cool. Coop and Coop, we say it when we're out and about. But if you're looking for automation, those are the guys to do it, Brave Control Solutions. So thanks for tuning in today. All right, we got Jeffrey Jennings joining us. Hello from BI Modular. Jeffrey, I'm assuming is how I say it. I'm saying Jeffrey, I guess it depends on where you're from the world. Thank you for tuning in today. And hey, share with the world about BI Modular. What do you guys do? Put it in the comments. Let people connect with you. Hey, Gregory. Hello. Good to see you, my good friend. Hope all is well. We have a question here from Doug Hayden. He said, wow, did the parking structure need to be temporarily reinforced for those two cranes on the podium?
So great question, Doug. We were concerned. Certainly, we've reshored projects to put heavy equipment on podiums before. Lots of people do that, but we were concerned that the weight of this crane with a 40,000-pound module, on its hook, was going to be more than reshoring could handle. So we went to the structural engineers and said, we want you to design the reshoring for this project, but we want to make sure that the deck can withstand it. Reshoring is typically 12 by 12 timbers,
yep.
But what's the spacing on that? Is the deck going to be able to handle it? So we didn't want to have the building all designed and the podium all poured and then say, hey, can we reshore this and put a crane on it? So those are exactly the kind of things we have to look at in advance and say, is this really going to work? Show us how it's going to work before we actually build it.
Yeah, and that's it. And, it's all part of the pre-planning process and knowing to think about that in the beginning stages and the layout of that job site is awesome. Where those cranes are set, are those kind of common areas? Is that where they're setting?
Yeah, those will be courtyards, and you'd be amazed at how hard you have to fight to keep the dimensions of your courtyard when the architect, we love the architects, but they're, hey, can we put a storage room here? How about an elevator? Can we make this balcony bigger? It's like, dude, leave us our space.
Well, that's really what it is, right? Leave us the space. Let's go to another comment, and then we got another question here. We got a hello, Amit. Thank you for joining us. Says hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. Really appreciate everybody out there. And then we got Peter Molinar in the house. So the question: are the projects finished as airtight, high performance pH buildings?
And the answer to that is absolutely yes. I'm going to say even more so than stick frame. All of our manufacturers build an incredibly tight box that's absolutely airtight. I mean, when you look at the Title 24 and code requirements for outside air, you're going to need outside air because if you shut the window on these babies and you have your weather stripping seal on the front door, they're airtight. On top of building an airtight box, then we put a product like EPDM or some of the other weatherproofing products over the top of those boxes. And we leave that product on top of the box during and after the set. So you have a situation where somebody overflows a bathtub. Is it going to flood the 4 floors below it? Well, it can't, because we weather protected those in the factory, and they're still weather protected even though they're sandwiched in the middle of a building. So you have a much tighter building with the modular product.
Yeah, for sure. Al, anything that we left out that you want to put out there today to everybody?
Just a big thank you to our partners on the design side. Our crane partner is Maxim Crane, and we work with we have a really great team. Big thank you to our team that our guys are just, and women are so committed to what we do. It's almost, I got an email from a client contractor a week ago letting us know that, hey, your foreman, Carl, is building this like it's his own house. So we love what we do. We're really committed to the industry, and we're excited about new projects.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just to be clear, so everybody knows, they can hire you to help with the design and coordination of the factory, or they could hire your company ModSet to set their buildings for them as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and we'll steer you to the best setting company. We have a great relationship with ProSet and AccuSet, and those guys are our friends. So sometimes we're not the best fit, but we'll certainly help you find the best fit.
Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere. For the rest of you out there, this Friday, we have Bill Parsons on. That's right. COO of Woodworks, Building Science and Mass Timber. Is it really safe to build those high-rise buildings with wood? Well, guess what? You'll have to tune in this Friday at 1 p.m. if you want to find out how safe it really, really is. Who would have thought? Listen, everybody, this has been a great show. And let me just go back to Al one more time. Al, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate you. And for those of you watching us on LinkedIn, hey, join our YouTube community. Go over there and like and subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We got some big plans in the work to make this community even more inclusive for everybody to meet the leaders of this industry like Al and others, so we can all grow together. The more we talk, the more we collaborate, the further, faster we're going to change how we build. Al, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, everybody else. You got a couple more days to get it right, build it tight. It's only Wednesday, so get it done. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.